So when you arrive at BlueGreens, the first thing you see are containers, blue containers, green containers. In the green ones, plants, herbs, and microgreens are growing. In the blue ones, fish and crustaceans are raised. Together, these containers form closed-loop systems where water, nutrients, and microorganisms circulate on site, independent of season or weather. How this interaction works exactly, how real ecosystems are created, and how this can scale from a single container to large installations. That's what I'm discussing today with Manuel Vock, the founder of BlueGreens, and Sebastian Haymann, responsible for business development. Welcome to the two of you.
Thank you. Thank you for the
invitation.
So,
Manuel, let's start with you as the founder. What is BlueGreens from your perspective? I try to kind of explain what the technology does and how that comes across. What is BlueGreens to you?
BlueGreens is the combination of two very powerful worlds. The green symbolizes all the land on our planet that is grown with plants and animals and insects. And the blue part is the very powerful part below, that is the lakes, the rivers and the oceans. And we combine these two worlds with a very broad biodiversity-driven nutrient synthesis.
How exactly do you do that? It still sounds rather philosophical. Can you break it down for us, please?
Yeah, so ones have to understand that nutrients come from, basically the starting point is the light coming from the sun to the earth, and then it generates phytoplankton and zooplankton, which are generating the omega-3 acids and the proteins that then end up in the produce we eat in the end, in like meat and dairy and whatnot. And yeah, we use this biodiversity-driven small inhabitants of the ecosystems, and we focus on it the most, because if they are happy, also the end of the food chain is happy.
When I first read about BlueGreens and about you, my initial association was vertical farming, but that association is not correct. So you go further.
Yes, vertical farming is one of the technologies that we use in combination to create this ecoponic system. Yes.
What is that ecoponic system that you talk about? What does ecoponics stand for?
Yes, ecoponics is a development coming from aquaponics that by now should be widely known by the population. Aquaponics comes from hydroponics in combination with aquaculture, which is chemical-based plant and chemical-based fish production combined. We go much further because the most important parts in these systems are the smallest inhabitants, and this is described with the term eco. So it's an ecosystem.
So you don't replace water over and over. You don't use chemicals. You don't use antibiotics. Is that what makes it more biological? What makes it more sustainable?
Yeah, the reason is that the natural ecosystems, they are the most productive in their equilibrium, and it is very easily disturbed with chemical impacts, with nutrient-based impacts. And once it gets disturbed, it takes a long time to cycle up back again to its full productivity.
So if you're explaining that biodiversity, the circles that you're using inside the containers, what kind of products come out of these containers? Are we talking about microgreens, like in the container that I've personally seen? Are we talking about salads, about mushrooms? What specific products are we talking about?
Yeah, since we work with the full ecosystem, that means like the complete circle, we can fine-tune the system to any given product from the circle. It can be a fish, it can be a shrimp, it can be a mushroom, it can be a plant, it can be a bacteria, it can be animal food, it can be how do you call it? Aromatics. It can be a substance you use for treating cancer. There is no limit to that imagination.
If there's no limit to imagination, that means it's very, very hard to make something that can do a lot or produce pretty much anything, to make this idea tangible, to make the concept tangible to clients. Sebastian, from your perspective in business development, how can such a system be used? Who can use it? What can they be using it for? What are the use cases that you directly see and that you tackle?
Well, Stephan, the list of use cases is almost equally long, but primarily I think you can definitely use it in agricultural production. For instance, let's take the microgreen case. Farmers could complement their portfolio to grow microgreens in an extremely efficient both resource efficient and cost efficient way.
So an extra source of income for farmers.
Absolutely, going beyond to feeding the population in a cost-efficient and accessible way for the larger population. And then we go beyond just purely agricultural purposes in farming country to urban centers, where we can actually have a container be based in urban centers, being operated by the local population, being constructed in collaboration with the local population, all the way to social institutions, hospitals, research institutions that can do further research into the applications of the aquaponic system.
Let me just explore those cases a little further. So you're saying in the village where I live, there could be a container in the village center that will be operated by the villagers themselves. Are they qualified to do that, to operate such a container?
Certainly. The container operates with repeatable, simple processes. There is a list that if you can follow the list, you can operate the container. This allows also secondary labor market participants, people with disabilities, with impairments, elderly people to be equally part of that food production system. Not only does that give them an economic value by working, but also it gives a satisfaction by being in the container and by being productive.
That sounds amazing. So we have the village case. You also spoke about institutions, social institutions, where these containers could have an impact. What about F&B? What about the food and beverage industry? Where do you see potential there?
Absolutely. As Manuel has explained, we can combine the containers, let's say one blue, one green, and grow mushrooms, grow leafy greens, and grow fish at the same time, all within the vicinity of where it is being consumed. So in the F&B sector, let's say you're in a remote location where resources are poor, you have everything in those boxes that you need to actually feed your customers and the local population as well.
So we're talking farm to table out in the desert when nothing grows around you. That's one possibility. Or
Absolutely.
Simply consuming foods from seasonal foods, local foods, very, very local farm to table. So you're adding an extra edge to farm to table concepts.
We're reducing the logistics behind it, certainly.
All right. Help me understand how one container for a town square, one container for a social institution is fine. What about the scalability? If you're in food production, it's really about the masses. And the output is great money. How you explain that? The output is there, but you want to scale. Can you scale with the containers?
Absolutely. It's even more adjustable than, let's say, your traditional vertical farming installations that are based in one place. It gives you the opportunity to adjust your food production exactly to the local needs, where it finds application. That says that if you need more, you place another container there. If you need another product, you place in a new container with that new product. So it gives you very large capacity to adjust to your production needs, and you can scale it almost infinitely. The beauty about this is we're using upcycled shipping containers, and they're not a scarce commodity, if you will. So for as long as there will be shipping containers that are not being used, we can grow those food production systems.
One of those shipping containers is in Zurich. Manu, you took me there to that container, and you said, Stephan, if you look at this container, it contains 610 meters of ecosystem from the river that you're looking at. How is that possible?
Yeah, did you believe that?
I'm still asking you the question. How is that possible?
No,
I remember the sounds inside the container. It's a soothing sound. It's listening to a waterfall. It smells really nice. The climate is beautiful. 610 meters of ecosystem. You still need to break down those numbers.
Yeah, so I'm trying to explain that. So the container, it is on 26 square meters, from which we use 15 square meters for human operations. And on the rest, what is that, 11 square meters? We provide about 90 square meters of growing area that is like a folded river. with 9 layers where the river is constantly flowing. And if you would align it up on one line, it's 610 meters long, and that's 68 waterfalls in between. So it's
68
so
waterfalls in between.
It's actually a quite long river working in that container. You know, so if you imagine 610 meters is quite far.
So you're saying what you're doing makes sense. It is good for nature. It's great for local communities. It provides labor, healthy food. It is a perfect thing if it were to add up financially. Does it add up financially? Is there a return on invest? I need to ask the question. You're a startup business, Sebastian.
We certainly believe so. And we believe that with the system that we offer, it is a low-cost barrier for people to enter. We have a licensing system. We own the containers. People can rent out the container, operate it on their own terms. The productivity of the container is such that it makes financial sense both for people, for agricultural producers, as well as your local businesses. And we believe that with that low-cost barrier to entry to actually using those containers, it should make it very interesting for people to use.
You're saying you believe it makes sense. What do clients tell you, Manuel?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. The question is more, is that profit measured in money, or is it sometimes even measured in something else, like producing food where the soil is chemically polluted and then having clean food? Then the question is not only if it's cash-based profitable, it is also if it gives a profit for the humans operating it there and then consuming fresh, clean foods. Or if you have water shortage, if you use less water to produce more, it's a win, it's an advantage.
So those are bigger questions you can also tackle based on the BlueGreens systems in that case.
Yes, definitely. That's one of our main advantages, is water usage and the fully closed-off system that is not polluted by the polluted nature around it.
You're a startup company. What are the next steps for BlueGreens?
We would like to expand the field of applications. We would like to do more research into where these containers can find good use. We want to expand our cooperation. We want to find clients locally, internationally. We know it is a good system, and it tackles many of the larger questions that loom over humanity, over societies, resource poverty, degradation of soil, all of those things. And we want to be part of the solution, and we want to grow in that way.
Manuel, from your perspective, next steps for BlueGreens?
Yes, we are on the hunt for ecosystems and inhabitants and plants with special abilities that we can combine in other aquatic setups to solve some problems. And yeah, we'll see what we will discover.
Well, thank you so much, Sebastian. Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you,
Stephan.
I'll definitely be back to taste some of those microgreens. Thank you so much. And BlueGreens, as we now know, combines technology with nature, local, circular, and of course, scalable. For more information, visit bluegreens.ch online or go see Manuel at one of the containers and check out the system yourself. Goodbye and see you next time.